Hi, it's time for another from our scrap bin. This time I'm kind of doing a pretty classic scrap bin layout. I have the Simple Stories vintage, I think it's Vintage Garden. I don't have any of it right in front of me, or Vintage Cottage maybe. Collection, and I only have little pieces left. I have no 12 by 12 paper left. I have bits and pieces of different paper, and I am going to use that to finish off a page from my 2018 cruise. So I have used this paper now for 3 or 4 layouts for my cruise. So it's going to be consistent throughout all of those pictures. For this one, because I knew I didn't have any 12 by 12, I'm going to use the Buenos Dias stencil and some of my Catherine Pooler inks. And I'm just going to create a background on this particular it's Vicky Bouton foundations paper. It's kind of a nice, solid cardstock. I just got these Catherine Pooler inks. I think I just used them in another layout recently, and I'm just learning to play with them. They are, I will say, the blue turned out much greener than I expected it to be on the page. I don't know if that's because I didn't clean the stencil off and it had so much yellow on it. So that could be completely my fault and that it mixed with the yellow on the stencil. But I really was expecting a little bit more teal, and I got a little bit more green, and it's probably my fault. But I'm going to end up covering up a lot of that color anyway. But these three colors are all colors that are in the paper collection, but it ends up I didn't have a lot of those colors left in paper, so I'm going to bring those in through embellishments. But I'm just, and then after I see how green it turns out, I do wipe off the stencil this time before using it, just to try to make sure the pink stays a little more true to pink. I realize pretty quickly here that you can't see because of my lighting. I don't know where everyone lives or anything, but I happen to be in Connecticut. And the last couple days, we have had nothing but overcast, dreary rainstorms. And the lighting in my scrapbook room, usually I try to do stuff in the morning so I have good light. And just lately, I have had the worst lighting because there is no light coming in from anywhere. I really like how this stencil worked. I like how it looked overlaid with each other. So if you are looking for a really cool stencil and kind of a neat pattern, this is one I would really recommend. All of the Buenos Dias stencils, I did not actually get that collection, but I did get the stencils. So, I mean, sometimes the stencil pack you could get without getting the paper collection because it can just be used with anything. I know there are some stencil packs, like I'm thinking of Simple Stories and some of those that really you need to use with the collection. They're kind of themey, whether it be, I know there's been like frogs and train tracks and those kinds of things that I've seen in the past. But this particular stencil set, I think, goes with anything. I'm going to fussy cut some flowers out and I'm going to save you from watching all of that. But I fussy cut that pink one up top and then those two, and I'm going to use those. Um, I have these two pictures of the lighthouse off of the water in the Bahamas and where we were when we did the cruise. And I am cutting the one picture that was vertical to a 4 by 4. So now I've got two kind of 4 inch high pictures. I'm kind of just figuring out what I want to do. Originally, I thought, oh, I will have a big strip of black at the bottom to kind of, um, you know, anchor the whole page. And I end up not 100% liking how that looks. I'm just cutting paper at this point, just kind of cutting the torn edges off, just try to make it work. And when you have layout like this, or when you have just scraps like this, the most important thing you can do is just kind of make it work. I knew I didn't want a huge black border. So at this point, I'm trying to decide if I want to mat those together or if I want to mat them separately. I end up matting them separately on this cream colored paper, and it has just the right colors on the side there. You'll notice there's a bird that's yellow, some florals that yellow. So it's going to bring out all of the colors, the blue, the pink, and the yellow, just in a little bit on all of the edges of the paper. And I really like that how that does. Now you're going to see as I put all this together that I am going to bring in the color with mainly with my embellishments. So I know I want to put the two florals on there, and I know that I want to just take some of this pink and so the pink's on the right side with the stenciling, so I'm going to put the pink on the left of the paper. I have this kind of the tealy color that's in there, and I know I want that to overlap. And like I said, I am just looking at the papers and just adding them in kind of layers behind it. Um, this particular flower was off of the edge, so I knew I needed to hide that edge underneath something. So all of this is just kind of working. I have that lighter blue, and I'm putting that on that side. And there I finally moved my lighting so you can see the yellow a little bit better. Now I know it's going to help to anchor it with some dark. So I have that black paper, and notice I'm not cutting these. These are just kind of the scraps that I have. I'm just taking what I have and I'm just using them. So just when you're down to this kind of, leftovers of a collection, that's what you can do is you can just kind of look at it and decide. And now I'm kind of going through and seeing, is there anything else I want to add? I don't really have any other colors, so I kind of like how this is set up. So now I'm just going to start piecing this together. Now, I just recently took a Chamel Lane class online. It's my first class I've ever taken with her, and she is so good at explaining like how you should do this process, like how you pick up and layer and you put things together so that you don't have anything kind of she uses like you don't have any open edges and you don't trap space and all of those kinds of things. I have learned so much just by taking one of her classes. So if you're like me and this kind of process to me was a little scary. Like I have never been real good at doing multiple layers like this and having scraps of paper underneath my collections, and I always feel like it doesn't look quite right. um, this class of hers really helped me feel more comfortable about doing this. So I would just recommend if you're feeling like, hey, I'm not sure this is my style or I'm not sure I could do this. She's got a lot of different classes. I think one of them is actually called like lots of layers or something. I took the half and half class, and it was great. But she just has a really good way of explaining all of this. So um, no, I don't get any kickback or anything, but I just would recommend, if you're looking for somebody that does this kind of layering really well, I feel like I learned a lot and learned how to do that. So at this point, I knew I needed to add more yellow. The only yellow is in the background. I don't have is on the background stenciling. So I particularly wanted to find some of the embellishments that I had left that had the yellow in them. So the title is Hello Today. Doesn't really necessarily make a lot of sense, but it is kind of part of, when we were on the cruise, was kind of a just hello today kind of a thing. I am adding the different embellishments from that brad. They have like, it's not really brad, so like they look like brads, but they're really stickers. Um, I am very pleased with how this particular layout turned out. I wasn't sure when I started it that I would be. Now, this is a new kind of technique that I found. I got this Nuvo glitter pens and in lemon frost, and it is like gold. It's basically just gold. And if you just dot it around, it kind of looks like splatters, but it's a little more controlled. And that is my page. So you can see some of the gold splatters. You can see the things I fussy cut, the Love This Brad. And here is the final page. I hope you enjoyed my From the Scrap Bin. Please check out the other ladies. And if you're looking for supplies, I've got the link to my little scrapbook store below. Bye bye.